Let's use our fantasy and imagination and read about Evans Pritchard and the witchcraft in the Azandi. So, what are we going to learn about these people? And, the nice thing is it's an ethnography. So, this isn't speculative. Unlike what we were reading before, which were just spells, we are actually getting the report of someone who was there and someone who recorded actual people doing things. Well, among the Azandi are perfectly and happy and healthy in their system of witchcraft. The eruption of chaos in their world is given a reason. When misfortune happens, it's witchcraft that causes it. So you're no longer stuck with why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? Because there are witches, because there are evil, jealous people. And what causes a witch to perform witchcraft, to enable and deploy their witchcraft? They deploy their witchcraft out of hatred and jealousy. And there is one thing we can be sure of. No matter where you go around the world, people will be jealous. Jealousy, to me, seems to be one of the most fundamental human emotions. So when we're looking at the Azandi system of witchcraft, I want you to see how it is a very clear social system. And I want you to think back to Emil Durkheim. Remember how Durkheim said that religion is a mirror of society, or he would say society is religion, and the aspects of a society you will actually see mirrored in the religion and vice versa. So there's no escaping the social structure. So witchcraft, in fact, ends up being a theodicy. We might have had that word before. I can't remember. Theodicy comes from two Greek words, theos and dike. So that's God plus justice. Theodicy is the reason for evil and pain in the world, why bad things happen to good people. Witchcraft theories and speculation on witchcraft are connected widely throughout daily life in the Azandi. They talk about it all the time. Briefly, bad things happen. There's no denying that. But when bad things happen that are particularly bad and particularly suited to an individual, that's witchcraft. Witchcraft is afoot. The funny thing is, I remember I was preparing for this lesson. I want you to remember this example later. And I had 4 containers, bottles of Diet Pepsi. I put them in my refrigerator the night before. I went to grab one in the morning because I like my soda in the morning. And I opened it up, little fuzz, completely flat. Threw it out. What is this business? Grabbed one, and made a sound. Completely, all 4 of them, completely flat. Now, the first thing I thought was, clearly this is witchery. And we'll see when we're looking at Favre Sada's work in the Brocage in rural France, that when a cow suddenly starts giving rotten milk, or the butter spoils too quickly, that's a sign of witchery. But I think some witch is trying to drain me of my vitality by removing the carbonation from my soda. Oddly, the more I think about it, the reduction of carbonation in soda is like getting rid of like a vital quality to a substance, making that substance worthless, sort of like spoiling milk. Witchcraft. Who hates me? Who hates me? Okay, so we're talking about theodicy. All right, they give a couple of really great examples here, and these are all pretty darn famous. So in the first example that I want to bring up for the Azandi, Evans Pritchard describes a granary. Now, Azandi people would Zandi people would regularly in the heat of the day sit under these elevated granaries and hang out. That's common, no problem. And granaries fall all the time. Why would they fall? I don't know. It could be poorly built, could be overfilled, could be bad weather, could have been a flood, could have been some compromise. Termites could have got into it. There's termites everywhere, as we'll read later. So granaries fall. Now, the granary falling is not witchcraft, but if the granary falls and there's someone under it and they're killed, that's witchcraft. What's the witchcraft of it? That the granary was made to fall? No. The witchcraft is that it fell at that specific time when that specific person was underneath and they specifically were killed. That's the witchcraft aspect of it. So let's say there's this gnarly stump in the middle of a path is another example we read about. You can see this stump in the middle of a path, and there's stumps in lots of paths all over Zondiland, and everybody keeps an eye out for them. So there's this gnarly stump. It's common. So if one was to trip over the stump, as Pritchard tells us about a young man who trips over the stump and hurts himself. That's not odd per se. However, if he trips over the stump, hurts himself more than he should, and gets a really bad infection, then the young man will say, it's witchcraft. Why is it witchcraft? Not that he fell over the stump, but it's that that stump was in that perfect spot for him to be there at that specific time, for him to hurt himself, and for that wound to not heal, that minor injury or even a somewhat major injury becoming more life-threatening. That shows that it is witchcraft. Snake bite, illness are really common. Now, the thing isn't that the witch causes the snake bite or the illness. The witch causes someone to die from it. A normal person who's not afflicted by witchcraft would recover. So in this sense, they would argue that all death has an element of witchcraft to it because there is a malevolence to make that thing lethal. They don't really treat old age, though. That's an interesting problem. Okay, so the Azandi say that there are 2 spears in every killing and every death or in every misfortune. So think about it this way. When you're hunting, there's 2 spears. One is the spear that kills the animal, that does the damage. The other spear is the intention of the hunter. The Azandi say that there are 2 spears in every killing of a person or of an animal who is hunted. The first spear does the damage, but the second spear is the intention and the opportunity to kill. In this way, witchcraft is the second spear. Witchcraft isn't that someone has a misfortune. It is that those misfunctions happen particularly to them and they're particularly dangerous. Witchcraft is the intention of the witch that makes the spear lethal, not in particular the spear itself. So the second spear is the way they talk about it. And this becomes a common anthropological convention to write about the second spear. So who are these witches? Well, all misfortune, particularly unique misfortune, is thought to be witchcraft. Now, a witch's identity can't just be discerned. You don't just look and see that someone's a witch, though we'll see some nuance on that later. What you have to do is when a person is suffering, they go to an oracle. And there are 3 types of oracles here. And we're going to look at them and see them in a documentary. There is the rubbing board, the termite oracle, and the poison oracle. I'll explain them a little bit more. But generally, when you think you're under witchcraft, you go and you consult one of these oracles and you say, is it witchcraft? And they go, yeah. And then you do another one. You say, is it this person? And it goes, no. Is it this person? No. Is it this person? Yes. Aha. All right, now I got to do something. And then they elect to have things they can do to address the witchcraft. So when witchcraft and a witch is diagnosed, there has to be some way to deal with it. But you don't go and beat the guy up or the gal up. That would kind of be really antisocial. So maybe once upon a time, once witches were accused, people would go and kill them. But the Azandi are much more sophisticated than that. There are social systems to reprise and address witchcraft without violent retribution. So first off, the witch might be confronted. You might actually go and talk to them and say, hey, I think you're doing witchcraft. And they'll do a thing where they put water in their mouth and they go and spit it out and say, whatever witchcraft I have, even if not intentional, may my witchcraft be cool. Like, let me cool down the witchcraft in me and cast that aside. So think about the social structure there. You have someone who you know is jealous or hates you. Bad things are happening to you. You think it's their fault. You assess it via an oracle, and then you go and you say, I think you did this. And they go, hey, cool. Whether I did it or not, whatever. Think about how that makes people more cohesive and binds them together. I like to think that these accusations of witchcraft is like you're building steam in a boiler. That boiler is building up steam, that tension between people. And then at some point, when they blow the water out and say, may my witchcraft be cool, that's like you've turned a valve to let the steam out of the boiler so it doesn't explode. In this way, the accused, by being generous and humble, say, I didn't know I did that, but hey, all good. They can diffuse the whole situation. So that's really kind of great. They can end the witchcraft by just owning it. So they say, I don't have this quote up here, on page 25, if a man is killed by a spear in war, or by a wild beast in hunting, or by the bite of a snake, or from sickness, witchcraft is the socially relevant cause, since it is the only one which allows intervention and determines social behavior. The person has misfortune. The accusation of witchcraft allows somebody to do something. Witchcraft creates meaning in the face of unthinkable and unreasonable suffering. Remember my argument that I make about magic, that one thing that magic really does, whether it's effective or not with the rituals to change the world or not, is it reduces the pain and suffering of inertia. It reduces the feeling of pain at not being able to do anything. So witchcraft just jumps right in here and says, oh, this horrible thing happened. There's a reason for it. Here it is. And then you socially act it out. And you act it out not just with yourself, but with people around you, leading to a greater sense of connection and social cohesion. Witchcraft amongst the Azandi is great. So human social agency enters this system of misfortune and helps make sense of suffering. The witch blowing out the water reconciles the tension among the tribe. They literally clear the air. So